Hello, everyone, and welcome to the very first episode of our series, The Mindset Shift. I am your host, Socheta, and today we are diving deep into a topic that is close to my heart and, quite frankly, essential for our future. We are talking about STEM education, but not just the technical side. We are exploring how it shapes the way we think, the way we solve problems, and how it fosters that sharp, critical thinking we all need in this fast-paced world. Joining me in the studio today is someone who has spent decades inspiring young minds, the wonderful Mr. Sadarun. Welcome to the show, Sadarun.
Thank you so much for having me, Socheta. It is truly a pleasure to be here. You know, when we talk about STEM, people often jump straight to robots or complex equations. But to me, it has always been about the spark in a student's eyes when they finally understand the why behind the how. It is about the human element of discovery.
Exactly. That spark is what it is all about. I remember being in school and feeling so overwhelmed by formulas, but when I actually got to build something, everything changed. Why do you think STEM is so much more effective at building critical thinking than traditional lecture-based learning?
That is a profound question. You see, traditional learning often rewards the right answer. But in STEM, especially when taught well, the process is the hero. When a student is faced with a bridge that keeps collapsing in a physics project, they cannot just memorize a solution. They have to analyze the failure, evaluate the materials, and infer what went wrong. That, right there, is the birth of a critical thinker. It is the shift from tell me what to do to let me figure out how this works.
Intrigued. That is a fascinating idea, the idea of the heroic process. But I can imagine it is also incredibly frustrating for students. I mean, failing over and over again, that takes a lot of emotional resilience. How do you help them navigate that frustration without giving up?
Oh, the frustration is very real. I have seen tears in the lab, Socheta. I really have. But I always tell my students that a failed experiment is not a dead end. It is a data point. We create a safe space where I don't know is the beginning of an adventure, not an admission of defeat. When they finally solve it, the joy is 10 times more intense because they earned it through struggle. That resilience is a core part of critical thinking, having the stamina to think through a problem when it gets tough.
That is so powerful. It makes me think about how these skills translate outside the classroom. We aren't just training future engineers or scientists, are we? We're training people who can navigate a world full of misinformation and complex global challenges.
Precisely. A critical thinker trained in STEM asks, what is the evidence? Is this source reliable? What are the variables at play here? Whether you are a lawyer, a farmer, or a parent, those analytical skills are your shield and your compass. In an age where we are bombarded with data, the ability to filter that data through a logical scientific lens is a survival skill.
I could have used a bit more of that logical lens when I was trying to put together my bookshelf last weekend. But seriously, Sadarun, what do you say to the parents or educators who feel that STEM is too cold or impersonal compared to the arts or humanities?
I would say that STEM is one of the most creative endeavors a human can undertake. Think of the imagination required to conceive of a journey to Mars, or the empathy needed to design a medical device for someone in pain. STEM without creativity is just data, but STEM combined with a humanistic heart, that is how we change the world. It is not cold at all. It is the language of curiosity and care.
That is a beautiful way to put it, the language of curiosity and care. It really reframes the whole conversation. As we look toward the future, what is your biggest hope for the next generation of students entering these programs?
My hope is that they don't just become consumers of technology, but creators of solutions. I want them to look at a problem, be it climate change or local poverty, and not feel helpless. I want them to think, I have the tools to analyze this, the mindset to test ideas, and the heart to persevere. I want them to feel empowered by their own intelligence.
I think we are well on our way if we keep having conversations like this. Sadarun, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and your passion with us today. It has been an absolute enlightenment.
The pleasure was all mine, Socheta. Thank you for giving a voice to this important mission.
And to all our listeners out there, thank you for tuning in. Remember, critical thinking isn't a gift you are born with, it is a muscle you build. So go out there, ask why, and don't be afraid to let your bridge collapse a few times before you get it right. Join us next time for episode 2, where we'll look at STEM in the digital age. Until then, keep wondering.